Party people! Welcome once again to the Party of One podcast, the actual play RPG podcast, where the gaming table is always built for two. I did not almost forget the tagline of the show. I want that on record. That was a pause for dramatic effect. We are coming to you live from Tattooed Moms, that is 530 South Street, as part of the 2019 Philadelphia Podcast Festival. The festival is a collection of live podcasts coming together for special free live shows for the public to show the thing that we love, to celebrate podcasting and the art form itself. It is a great event. I'm excited to be here. This is probably my favorite bar in the city, and this is my favorite city in the world, so that's pretty high praise.
That is.
So why don't we just go ahead and get into it? Everybody knows the premise of Party of One. It is an actual play podcast focused on two-player role-playing experiences. This week, I am joined once again by my good friend, J.R. Goldberg. J.R., thanks for coming back on Party of One.
Yeah, of course. It's absolutely my pleasure. Although, I must confess that I feel like I'm getting typecast as the wrestling guy. I was looking forward to playing some elf games or something, you know?
I had two games side by side, and I said I can either have you play a weird elf or a weird wrestler, and I said, you know what? I feel like I feel like we should all. My life philosophy is just be on my bullshit all the time. So I feel like, we should just all aspire to that.
I think if anyone has ever seen my Twitter, my life philosophy is also being on my bullshit all the time.
That's important. I think it's important for the both of us. So yeah, why don't you take a moment and tell the listeners at home anything that you're working on you might want them to know about.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm J.R. Goldberg. You can find me on Twitter @WrestlingBubble. And my Patreon is patreon.com/Cementville. I guess Cementville is probably the game I'm most well known for because Reddit got a hold of it and made it famous for a little bit.
That's exciting.
Which was cool, yeah, and weird. But that's a game about being...
Reddit in a nutshell, I think.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a game about being like a poor, shitty wizard in a small Midwestern town and not having the money to buy spell components and seeing how stuff goes wrong when you don't have the things that make magic work. And the mechanic is flipping cards.
Nice. I love that.
Which is
I'm all for any weird gameplay mechanic. I'm all about it, which is part of why I'm excited to play tonight's game.
Yeah, absolutely. This is very fun. I'm also a big wrestling fan. My Patreon has a lot of wrestling essays, so I think that's probably why I was invited to do the last one that we did, which is Wreckage in the Ring, and then this one too. I don't actually know. I don't think I told you this, but one of my favorite game designers, this guy from Brazil, Gontijo, wrote me in the DMs the other day to say he listened to the Wreckage in the Ring.
That makes me so happy.
Yeah, he said he's not a fan of wrestling in the least. This DM was sort of unsolicited, but he listened to it and he loved the episode.
That's fantastic. That makes me so happy. That means that we did our job. Which means that the stakes are high for this one.
Absolutely.
Honestly.
We have to follow it up. Yeah. We have to have a good sequel.
This is really, the first one was Kenny Okada 1, which got 5.25 stars or whatever that number was. Now we're into Dominion, right? Dominion 20. That was the next match.
I think so.
We're referring to the research department. Yeah. All right, producer Jen Frank confirms for us that was Dominion, which means that the stakes are higher now. People are really going to be judging this episode based on that one, which means don't fuck this up for me.
I will try my best. All right. I've had more to drink already than I did the entirety of last time, which I think actually makes this probably better already.
I think so. I'm feeling good. I'm feeling this is going to be a lot of fun.
Yep.
So this week we are playing Heel Turn 3 by Brian Baker. It was one of the games created as for the Pro Wrestling Game Slam 2K19, which was a game jam. Woo! All right. Which was a game jam for games about professional wrestling. This one is inspired by the Mountain Goat song Heel Turn 2. And so it is about heel turns. It is specifically a story about a tag team in a tough spot, and dealing with that and seeing if we can, maintain our friendship throughout, the quintessential, painful tag team loss. So here's how this game is going to work. We start out with the game is driven by a number of colored objects, tokens, etc. Because this is a live show, and it wouldn't be a live show without a little bit of audience bribery, we have Kit Kats. They are, ignore the Christmas decorations. I did, in fact, buy these a week ago. And I am certain that the dollar store would not sell me 7-month-old Kit Kats, even if they were like 15 for $1. I'm certain that these are brand new and they're just celebrating Christmas in July, right? That's
Christmas in July is a real thing that people celebrate.
That's the only logical explanation.
Yeah.
But so the way this works is we are going to play through a number of scenes. We are a tag team who has found their way into a prestigious tag team title tournament. There are 4 rounds. It is a 16-team tournament. And we are going to make our way through 3 of those rounds successfully. We are going to lose the 4th round.
Spoiler alert.
Spoiler alert. And at the end of that, we are going to find out if our friendship, if our tag team camaraderie is strong enough to hold true in that moment of painful defeat, or if one of us is going to snap and turn on the other. Now, the game doesn't technically, this was something that producer Jen Frank and I were talking about before the show. The game doesn't include a mechanic for if we both turn heel. But I think I'm going to leave that window open for that possibility because I like that as a possible ending for our story. We're not there yet.
There's a possibility that we could both snap and that our friendship grows stronger.
Yeah,
because
that we find a new level of camaraderie in being awful people.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of possibilities that come with this painful loss. But to get there, first we need to create our wrestlers. There's no real guidelines for this, so we're just going to we've been talking a little bit about it. The rough setting that we've come up with is sometime in the past, somewhere in America, somewhere with no budget. And we are two wrestlers. Jared, tell us about the concept of our tag team that you pitched me right before the show.
So... do you want my character, or should we just sort of go over the preamble?
Let's go with the preamble, and then we'll kind of get into our characters.
Alrighty. So, in my head, we came up together. We trained together.
Right.
We were in wrestling school together, and we debuted on television. You know, we probably had a couple vignettes beforehand, and people thought we were going to be a big deal. And we lost a few matches out of the gate. And think about it almost like real sports or something like that, where you have someone and they're maybe not quite ready for prime time, but the announcers are there saying, once they put it all together, they're going to be big things.
Yeah.
But we just sort of never put it together.
Right. We just never had that connecting moment.
Yeah. But we stayed together out of it. But we just kept losing. And we're a jobber tag team. You know, I don't think that we've really ever won a match aside from by DQ when somebody just beats us up horribly and gets DQ'd because of it. But I think that we've never had a clean pinfall or anything like that until very recently when they announced this tag team tournament for the vacant tag team championship.
The Road Hazards, Pothole and Pile Up, actually took a contract with that company in New York. So they are headed off.
Exactly.
And so they, got banned for life because they were too violent.
Yeah,
and so the titles have been vacated.
The titles have been vacated. And we were put up as patsies, essentially. Yeah. Against the second big heel tag team that everyone assumed would just destroy us, right? But through some sort of rare happenstance, we had the match of our lives. Maybe there was a distraction from another team involved. That seems reasonable, right?
Probably some miscommunication.
Absolutely.
A missed clothesline here and caused an argument that we were able to capitalize on.
Yeah, and there was a roll-up, and we beat the presumptive winner that thought we were essentially a bye into this tournament. And now we, with our record of 1 win, 185 losses or something like that, are one of the 8 teams the 16 teams. Yeah. Oh, Jesus, my math is wrong. 16 teams possibly vying to win this tag team championship of the world.
I love it. This is very strong. I feel like I'm connecting with this off of my love of low-level jobbers and my love of unlikely underdog stories. I'm very into this, even knowing where the story is going to end.
Absolutely.
So the character notes that I've been thinking about for my wrestler is I've been watching, speaking of jobbers, I've been watching a lot of vignettes of my all-time favorite, well, second all-time favorite jobber tag team. My favorite being 3MB Now and Forever. Actually, maybe top 3, because I forgot about Los Ice Creams, who are also very good.
Oh, yes.
So my third favorite jobber tag team is Ryback and Curtis Axel. And I've been watching a lot of their segments because they're all just so absolutely weird that, like, I think I want to be someone who is kind of right down the middle. And I think it ties in nicely with the idea that we were sort of groomed for greatness and didn't get there. If, you know, if my character was like a legacy wrestler who like looked like an intimidating meathead, like a big burly, you know, sack of shit wrestler, and then like just didn't connect. Like the audience was just like, I don't care.
It was just a little too weird.
Yeah, a little bit too off-putting for the audience. And so I decided my character's name is Ace the King Queen Jack. The Queen Jack family is like a a legacy of like kind of roguish heel, you know, lovable, kind of a Guerrero or a Flair family where they were like cheaters, but you kind of loved them. And we, like, that was sort of the idea of, and so I was the next generation of this. I came in looking like $1 million, but I was this awkward weirdo that couldn't quite connect. And so the audience just sort of didn't respond.
I love it. The only thing I came into this podcast knowing was my character's name, which is Casual Dan Sexton. I'm glad that I got a laugh out of that.
It's extremely good.
Yeah. So I guess tagging along with that, I think that I also probably have the look, you know, the similar, like I'm a big sort of meathead dude, but I think the Casual nickname is probably more derisive than is necessary. Like I just don't have that killer instinct that puts wrestlers over the top, and instead I just float through life. You know, I got as far as I could on my good looks and my musculature, but other than that, you know, I'm content with the role that I have. You know, not everyone can be a winner.
Right, sure.
The world needs ditch diggers.
Yeah, you know, you're getting paid one way or the other.
Absolutely.
Like,
maybe not as much, but, you know, it's a living.
Yeah.
Sure.
That's all that matters. Like, the literal definition of a jobber. It is your job, and you do it, and you get paid.
Absolutely.
And I think, like, I almost picture, I think I probably have, like, a not dissimilar outlook, but only because my family's probably, like, fairly well off already.
Sure.
If we're, like, a wrestling dynasty.
Yeah.
Like I'm probably, like, okay, I could probably coast and just do, like, family events in the way that, like, the lesser members of, like, a dynasty family can just be like, yeah, I'm just going to show up when they need, like, 8 of us to do a cybernetico.
Absolutely. Yeah. I think that we've carved out a little niche for ourselves.
We have our fans, not many of them, but they're here and they're loving. They're here and they're excited for us.
All we strive for is to be relevant for a few select people.
Yeah. We're talking about our characters right now.
We're characters, yes, absolutely. Not me specifically.
This is us roleplay. Yeah. This is us telling a fictional story. So we've got our characters. We've made our way into the tag team title tournament. We are the I guess the last thing we need is like a tag team name or a gimmick. Are we just like a 2 guys tag team, or have we come together with like a shtick?
You know, I gave this a little bit of thought, right? And I think that over the years, we've probably a couple of times tried to like rebrand, right? Maybe to like give us that spark. I think that was probably early on in our career to, you know, but it just never felt real. And I think at this point, we're probably just our names.
Yeah.
Right? We're probably just those 2 dudes.
Yep. That probably makes sense. That feels right. That we're, you know, I picture us coming out in like trunks and leather jackets. I feel like that's like
absolutely
exactly the kind of level of detail that you give to someone that you're like, that's fine. That's your character. Your leather jacket now.
Yeah. We don't like. We probably have entrance music, but it's never played on television.
No, never once.
So no one knows what it is except for us.
So yeah, that's our characters. That's our tag team. Now we get into the actual meat of the game.
All right.
So here's how this is going to work. I have loaded this commemorative WWE Collector's Cup with 4 Kit Kats each in original and mint chocolate. So we've discussed it before the show and agreed upon that the original flavor Kit Kat will represent the babyface token, which is to say, if we feel good about it, it is the representation of us being like heroic, noble wrestlers. The mint chocolate, which I had one, and it was like, even though I am a noted lover of things mint flavored, not great.
Tremendous
The
chaotic
mint flavored
energy.
Kit Kat will be the heel token, which represents being tempted by the dark side, eking out wins, and sort of the tension between us growing until one turns on the other. So we've loaded this with a number of tokens, 4 each, because we'll be playing 4 scenes. And after each scene, we are going to draw an additional token and drop it in the cup. Each of us will choose how we feel coming out of that scene. We'll drop it in the cup. So we'll drop 2 tokens. And now I will ask the audience I'm going to ask all of you also to play a role in this. You're all familiar with professional wrestling, yes? You know the language of wrestling. I'm going to ask you if you feel like after the end of a scene, if you feel like we are friends who will stay together forever, I'm going to ask you to cheer. Give your best babyface cheer. If you feel like we are going to turn on each other and you feel like it is imminent, I want you to boo. I want you to boo like I just said that Gritty sucks. I want you to boo like I have just specifically turned heel on the city of Philadelphia. The audience seems into the idea.
They certainly loved Gritty.
They did.
They liked the Gritty
Pro Gritty crowd. And honestly, I'm with them. I'm with you.
Anti-fascist icon.
My hand is touching your hand, and a Gritty is touching all of our hands. So with that, all of that said, that's how the game's going to work. We're going to drop stones in, and then we'll draw a stone out to represent how we did in each round of the tournament until we lose in the finals and we determine who turns on the other. Make sense?
It does.
All right. So what we're going to do first, and I'll ask you to make the first pick of the prompt. So we enter into the Sweet 16. 16 teams. And I'm going to ask you to pick a prompt from our 4 prompts.
Yep.
And while you do that, I will describe the tag team that we are facing.
Sounds good.
I think that we are facing probably not the most likely team to win. No. Who do we want to be facing in the first round? Because I feel like we got in on a bye, so they probably put us against whatever team they sort of just need in the next round, right? They were yes, put them against. Yeah. So we're facing one half of a stable that has split up. So we're facing I'm gonna say we are facing
the 2 horsemen.
The 2 horsemen. We're facing the 2 horsemen. The 2 horsemen, which are in the they are full on trying to capitalize on the horseman cowboy imagery of the moment. So it's it is Lil Haas and Billy Chuck and Billy O'Neill is what we'll say their names
Excellent.
are. And it is a full-on Old Town Road gimmick that is not really working.
No.
And it just feels a little awkward, but they need them to face off against the other horsemen who are theoretically supposed to go on to the final.
And people in the crowd are expecting them to win, right?
Yeah.
Because even though it's not getting over, they're being pushed really hard.
Yeah, and they feel like the promotion is gonna make this a thing as long as Old Town Road remains a thing.
Yeah.
I know that we said it was sometime in the past, but it's kind of Archer where time periods don't matter.
Yeah, it's
none
fine.
of this matters. Yeah. It's wrestling.
I feel like Old Town Road has been out for 30 years.
It has been.
So.
We've always had it, and it is a treasure that will continue to bless our lives for the rest of my existence. That and Gritty, honestly, is really the life
things.
that we live, and I'm very happy to be in this world with them.
All right, prompt. Let's go with prompt 2, which is detail the lowest point you had as a team. What led you there? How did you help each other overcome this hard time?
All right. The lowest point in our... I think it has to be our first title match.
Sure. Yeah. Okay. And it's weird because I think that we haven't won a ton, but I think that because we were young and up and comers,
and they had pushed us so hard in vignettes and made us such a big deal.
We just sort of came out of the gate and maybe were awarded a title match low on a card on something and really I think we fell really flat. It was clear that we weren't ready.
Yeah.
And maybe, I'm not from a wrestling family like you are, but maybe there was some familial pressure with how badly we failed,
Oh, for sure. Absolutely.
Yeah.
And like, I think part of it is also that, like, yeah, it was that, like, we were kind of just handed this, and the audience knew we were handed it.
Sure.
So there was just no, like, crowd response to it. There was none of that energy of, like, yeah, we're really invested in this. It was, they're going to get this, they're here because they are the next big thing that's going to challenge for the titles.
Right.
So, like, that, it just wasn't the right moment, and we were pushed out there too early.
Yeah.
And we just got, and the team that, it probably wasn't helped because the team that we were facing was probably, like, beloved.
Sure, absolutely, right. And I think that we were probably, people expected us to win and be mad about it, and then they were pleasantly surprised when we lost.
Yeah.
And we were shocked by that,
Yeah.
right? Like, it was a very much like an
thought,
eye-opening moment for us.
And we thought, like, at worst, we were going to lose and have the crowd, like, respect us. Like, it was going to be one of those, they didn't win, but they came close. These two have potential. And the crowd just, like, turned on us. They were just
Absolutely.
like, good, you lost. Get the hell out of here.
Do you remember a couple WrestleManias ago when they had The Rock raise Roman Reigns' hand up?
Do you mean
the crowd just shit on it?
The Roman Rumble. The Roman Rumble.
Oh, it was the Rumble.
The Rumble. It was, in Philly.
It was here, right.
Philly booed The Rock.
Yeah. So I think it was like that, where like they booked it to have this like mutual respect thing after, right? Where the other like sort of seasoned tag team that everyone loved like raised our hands and shook our hands and everything like that. But just like the match was so clearly like we weren't prepared for it that people just didn't buy it, and it became sort of like a running joke.
And I think how I helped you in this hard time was like I probably pulled some strings backstage to get us that match because like I'm Queen Jack, right? Like this is where I'm supposed to be. Like the family, it was going to be a big moment. Like there was going to be some drama with the family down the road, but like they just pulled the plug on it because it wasn't working.
Yeah.
And so like I pulled it. I was like I pulled some strings. I put some stuff on the line, and it fell apart. And like it fell apart in a very public and noticeable way.
Sure. Yeah. Absolutely. And I think that like, for me, maybe the beginning of the casual nickname is out of this, where my defense mechanism of failing in such a public fashion was to stop caring so deeply, or at least like put that, that veneer up that I didn't care as much.
And I definitely probably like, this was probably the first rebranding where, I kind of...
This is where we got the leather jackets.
And at first they had the like Queen Jack on them, and it was like, Ace and the Joker or something.
Sure,
like we were just like, yeah, you're the Joker now. And so like it turned into this thing of, yeah, we're gonna lean on the family. It's gonna rehab our image for a little bit, and then we'll break out of their shell. And so that was kind of how we both kind of reacted to it. Was I kind of retreated back into my family name, and you just kind of said, whatever, it is what it is.
We tried our best.
All right, so that's our first scene. Now we are facing the horsemen in this match. So now we're gonna draw
two horsemen.
The two horsemen. We're gonna draw a stone. I'm gonna say honestly, I'm gonna draw a face stone. I don't feel like there was like a schism that went between us as like in this very public loss, even as we kind of reacted in a specific way. I don't feel like we reacted in a way that put us at odds. So I'm going to drop a face stone into the cup.
Sure. Yeah. I think that I'll say this. I'm going to draw a heel stone. I could see it going either way, but I'm going to draw a heel stone just out of, partially mechanically and partially because I think that perhaps there was a schism where you dove back into bolstering us back up, and you pushed that upon me where I was very clearly like, I'm good.
Okay. Yeah, I see that.
So that's what I'm going to do. And I'm going to throw a delicious mint chocolate chip cookie.
All right, crowd. You saw this moment. You watched this scene unfold. How are you feeling after match number 1? The crowd is in favor of match number 1, so we are going to drop a face stone, a plain flavored Kit Kat, into the WWE Collector's Cup.
Excellent.
So now we're going to shake it up. We're going to shake this, and I'm going to ask you, JR, draw Kit Kat
Alrighty. I'm digging deep because I can see the ones on top. Oh, I drew a face one.
Audience members, would someone like to draw a Kit Kat from this cup to tell us?
Our audience just doubled in size.
All right, we got a
for the
mint.
listeners at home.
All right, so we just need to know the flavor of the Kit Kat.
I got mint.
All right.
Milk chocolate.
All right, so that's a mint and a milk chocolate, which means that. So I'm gonna say. So that's. Can we consume the Kit Kat? Yeah. That's
Absolutely,
why I'm
please.
handing them to the audience.
Please eat them.
All right.
They are Christmas Kit Kats, so at your own risk.
I can't promise that
guess.
they're fresh. Yeah, they're not fresh, but
But they're sealed.
they're sealed and they're Kit Kats, so I imagine they're gonna live forever.
Sealed for freshness.
Yeah,
Loaded with preservatives.
exactly.
Both of those things are true.
So I'm gonna make a note. I'm gonna grab my pen and paper.
I have a pen.
Yeah, perfect. So I drew a heel.
And I drew a face.
Yeah. Okay. So that means that because one of us drew a heel, that means that like there was at least a moment where something underhanded went in our favor, where the audience kind of where the storyline kind of pushed us towards being heels.
In this match.
In this first round match against the two horsemen.
Okay.
We're both faces at the moment. We're in a 16-team tag team tournament, and at the end of this tournament, we will lose in the finals. And the game is to determine whether our friendship can maintain it, or if one of us is going to turn heel on the other and hit him with a chair and shatter our friendship. So I think there's a moment where, there's a moment probably where I distract the ref. If I drew heel, I think there's probably a moment where, I don't mean to.
Yeah.
But, something happens where I just, grab, or you know what it is? It's a really innocent moment. It's a friendship moment that still comes out heelish. There's a 2 count where I pull the ref out of the ring.
Sure.
And I look at my hands and I'm like, oh no, why did I do that?
Why am I so violent?
Yeah, why did I make that that choice to why didn't I just let us lose? I could have just let us lose, but I saw them go for the 3 and I pulled the ref out and I was like, no, we're not ending the match here.
Yeah.
Which is, kind of
Winning is a powerful drug.
It is. Then we've never really we've been losers for so long.
Forever.
That, it's kind of addicting.
Yeah.
So yeah, we win the first round. We go on to the second round. It upsets the bracket. The crowd is shocked and confused. So now we go into our second. Round of the tournament, which means we're going to pick our second prompt.
Yeah.
So I'm going to ask you, who are we fighting in the second round of the tournament? As I pick our second of the 4 prompts.
Okay.
The prompts are that we are going to show a time before we made it big, near the beginning or formation of our team. We can cut promos, putting each other over, or we can reminisce about our time together outside the ring. I feel like I really want to. I would love to show a time before we made it big.
Sounds good.
As we're kind of seeing our story coming up, I feel like that's a good next chapter as we face. What's the team that we're up against?
So we're going to be facing the Rap and R&B Express, who are the black ethnic babyface versions of the Rock and Roll Express that they're trying to get over.
Yeah, right. Okay. I think they're a lot bigger hit than the Two Horsemen, because I think that they just they have a natural charisma that can't
Absolutely,
be
yeah.
It was a lot like how at Fighter Fest what the hell were. Private Party just won the crowd over because they were just legitimately amazing.
Yeah.
I think it's a lot of that where people were just this shtick shouldn't work. But yet it does because these performers are legitimately charismatic.
It's like a lot of things in 80s wrestling where it's not even borderline racist, it's just racist, right?
Yeah.
But the talent of the performers
just
transcends
makes it work.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so. These guys are going to break out on a gimmick that they get to define in 5 years.
Yeah.
And they're going to be the biggest names in wrestling.
Absolutely.
But they're going to lose tonight.
They are, to us.
So what's a moment before we made it big? I think it's not long afterwards. It's probably we've rebranded once. We're no longer the Queen Jacks. We're no longer the, we've created a new gimmick where now we're kind of just greasers, right? The jackets are just kind of plain. They've got patches on them. We carry switchblades to the ring.
Yeah.
And I think there's this moment where we both What do I think?
Are we babyface greasers?
I think we're
Is that a
babyface. We're
thing?
babyface greasers.
That is not going to get over.
No, it's not. But like they're just kind of. I think that's part of the problem. Is there is like management is desperate to figure out what's going to make these two wrestlers connect. So they're just throwing things at the wall.
Sure.
They're just like, you're wearing leather jackets. You're greasers. Go. And I think there's this moment where like we drop it. I think there's this moment where we drop it for like half of a match. Because this is a story where we brought it together and like made us connect for like a short moment.
Yeah.
And I think we see some of that in the second round where like there's this moment where we're doing like a thing where we're kind of snapping like it's a West Side Story riff and we just like stop it and just start pummeling the opponents,
Yeah.
right? And
like a great hot tag or something.
yeah,
where just
and
everything
it's just
works.
Hot clotheslines
Right.
and like big bionic elbows, and we just go hard.
Yeah.
And for like half of the match, and we still lose. The match back then, we still lost, but there was this moment where that you could feel there was almost an energy in the crowd of like,
Right.
oh, these guys have something.
Yeah, for the first time, there was sort of like the expectations that the early vignettes foisted upon us were met by our performance in the ring.
So I'm going to ask you, casual Dan Sexton.
Yes.
What was it about Ace the King Queen Jack that like made you for a brief moment like want to get serious and really commit?
You know, I think that I saw in the moment how hard you were trying to get this over. You know, outside of the ring, you were consistently coming up to me with ideas to make something that was so obviously stupid work on some level. And, you know, I never really paid attention to it. I never really wanted to, you know, participate because I thought it was stupid and I said as much. But in the match, in the moment, you know, because we spent so much time on the road together, up and down, you know, I felt like I couldn't let you down. And we were fighting so hard, and I just wanted to put myself out there for you.
I love it.
Yeah.
I think that the thing that I saw, I think you were the one that dropped it, right? Like I tagged you in, and you just went. You were a legitimate house of fire, and I'd never seen that before for all of our like weird gimmicks and rebranding. And I was just like, oh my god, like this could be something. And so I probably like tag in, and then I just get beaten and rolled up, and like that's what costs us that match.
Sure. Which I don't, you know, again, I don't care about.
Yeah.
I feel a little let down, but, you know, I put myself out there. It failed. I'm used to that, right?
Yeah.
It's happened a couple of times. So, you know, no hard feelings.
Yeah. So all right.
Maybe
so
some hard
that's
feelings.
like our big moment, right? That's our scene. So now we're going to so what we're going to do is we're going to drop 2 more Kit Kats into the cup. I'm going to grab this Kit Kat and put it back in here because I don't remember how many I have. And we're going to if each of us feels like our friendship will persevere, if we feel like that was a story about our friendship coming together and surviving in hard times, we will call for a babyface token, which is a plain flavored Kit Kat. If we feel like there was a schism in our friendship, we will drop in a heel token. I will ask the same of the audience after we've dropped ours. If you feel like it was a story of friendship, I want you to cheer. If it was a story of people going in different directions, I want you to boo. Not yet, because we still have to discuss.
All right.
JR, how are you feeling?
You know, for me, I'm going to put in a face token.
I actually think I'm going to do the same.
Yeah, because I think that, you know, I put myself out there for you, which, you know, you'd always asked me to. I felt like it brought us closer together. And maybe I felt like even though, you know, we lost, you understood where I was coming from a
Sure,
little
yeah,
bit more.
absolutely. That makes a lot of sense. All right, crowd, how are you feeling about that scene? The crowd loved it. The crowd was in favor. So we're going to drop another face token in. And now I'm going to ask crowd members to come up and draw exactly 2 tokens out of this WWE Collector Cup. Just 2, yeah. No, yeah, draw 2, yeah. All right, 1. We got a heel token and a face token.
Right.
So that's a heel, that's a face for me, and a heel for JR. All right. So that means that, yeah, what was the moment where you kind of teased it being a villain as we came out on top in the second round and moved into the semifinals of the tag team tournament?
You know, I think that you already you pulled the ref out of the ring here. So in this one, I think that maybe, here's it. So they were getting ready for like a big hot tag, right? You were down in the middle of the ring. You know, it's that moment that's in every tag match where both wrestlers are down and they're crawling towards their corner. Yep. And I see that, you know, you're not close to me, but the other guys are close to each other. And I run around to the outside and I pull the guy off the apron so he can't make the tag.
Yeah, and so then like I kind of get time to kind of roll to the corner. I make the tag.
Yep.
And I think we see a little bit of that same House of Fire mentality from you where like you bring him down. But there was that moment where like, that's not just like desperation. That was a conscious like decision.
It was the only thing that I could think because I thought back to those moments where again, it wasn't out of me wanting to be a bad guy or a bad person. I just, this is our time. It's finally a time we've won 2 matches in a row for the first time ever, right?
Yep.
Let's just see what we can do. Let's keep it going, you know?
And so we win. We're in the semifinals. There are 4 teams left in this tournament. Mm-hmm. We are one of them. There are 3 other teams. So we move into round 3. I'm going to ask you to pick a prompt as I say that we are fighting the Weekend Warriors, and that is freelance Freddie Uberlift, and paid by the hour Wade Powers.
Oh God. Jesus Christ. How do I top that?
I love making up terrible wrestling names. It's something that I do in my spare time. I have a Word document that I literally just go, that's a funny wrestler name. Let me put that down. That's a good name.
Those are good. All right. We're going to do prompt 4.
I was hoping we were going to do prompt 4.
Yeah. Which is we reminisce about our time together outside of the ring. Create a story about a time you two spent just hanging out and relaxing with one another.
Because, we probably travel together.
We travel up and down.
We're traveling. We're territory guys. I think we kind of have to go where we're needed, right? We're not big enough to kind of like go where we want to go or where the action is. We kind of have to go where, you're needed here.
Right. The goal of every wrestler is to be able to turn down bookings, right? We have never turned down a booking.
We've never turned down a booking.
No. Yeah.
Those $20 are important.
They are.
And so, where do we... Let me ask you, where do we stop on the way to a show that we're going to?
Oh, gosh. All right. How about this? We get snowed in at a rest stop on the Tennessee border.
Okay, I like that.
All right.
And so, I think we're snowed in at a rest stop. It is one of those like weirdly nice rest stops. I think it's a rest stop that's built around
like a truck stop, right?
Yeah, and it's built around a like a natural attraction. Like there's just like a really beautiful cliff, so it's got like a museum of things that happened at the cliff. And there's like a picture of William Howard Taft there signing something. Like it's one of those ones.
It's an old mining town.
You're like, why is this on this rest stop? Like, what is happening here? And we're just like stuck here.
Yeah.
So like what does Casual Dan do when you're just stuck in this place? Like what is your downtime activity?
I think that for 2 sort of career wrestlers, even though we've spent a ton of time together, we've never really talked about things that aren't wrestling related.
Oh.
So I think that initially, at first, our conversation is just reminiscing.
Yep.
Right? It's just talking about times that we, in our case, almost won, right?
Yep.
And I think that conversation sort of naturally morphs into something more personal.
I think so. Yeah. And I think that there's this moment where there's this awkwardness of like, you ever go out to like drink with a coworker? And like you realize there's this moment where you're like, we can't talk about work anymore, but you don't think you're fully like ready to be like, let's talk about life stuff. So there's probably like a period where we're like straining to be like, and then there was this other time wrestling story that we could talk about, and then like that kind of fades out. But I think like it takes us a while to get to a point where we're talking about like other hobbies and stuff.
Absolutely, yeah. No, I mean I think that what do they say? There's an awkward pause in conversation every 10 minutes or so. I think we've had our share, but I think we just sort of power through and we end up talking all night.
Yeah, and I think we get to this. I think we start just talking. I think there's a lot of like. I think true to his name, like I think he named himself because he loves playing cards, and I think like Ace finally just breaks out a deck and is like, hey, you want to play like blackjack or gin rummy? And we like having a game to play together really
Sure.
like facilitates that conversation because then we have something to not awkwardly pause on.
Absolutely.
And yeah, I do think that we just like talk until the roads are clear. And then like I guess the question is that I'm going to ask you, and this is the tough question. Does casual Dan like immediately jump on the opportunity to get back on the road, or is there that feeling of like let's keep hanging out here?
No, I think that we both jump on the opportunity to get back on the road because I think that it's brought our resolve to continue to make these bookings even closer, right? Like it has to be, like psyche shattering in some way to like drive town to town and like put all these miles on your body and continually lose, right?
Yeah.
And maybe one or both of us, maybe out of this conversation at various points, we were both expecting the other person to say, I don't think I can do this for much longer, right?
Oh, I hate that, but I love it.
And it never happens, right? Because we have these other things. And then by the time the road's clear, we sort of recommit to making this booking and we get there. And we lose. Of course we lose.
But like that's probably that might even be the match where like we almost put it together.
Sure.
Right?
Yeah.
Like, that might
why
be the
not?
match before that. Like that's the one we almost click on.
Yeah.
Because for that brief moment, we're like, what if we did give this our all?
Absolutely.
Oh, I love that. All right, I do think I'm going to throw in a heel token, though.
Okay.
Because I think there's that moment where, like, we do both jump at that opportunity and I think it comes, like, right in the middle of, like, a real heart-to-heart. I think that we're both like, oh, we can get back on the road. Let's get back on the road.
Yeah.
Like, I think it comes at this moment where, like, we don't continue to connect. And, like, we still feel like we're coworkers and not friend. We still haven't made that jump to friend yet.
Right. For me, I'm going to put in a face token
All right.
again. Just because,
No, I think
For
that's
me,
a good. It really went either way for me, and so I feel like that makes sense.
Yeah.
Crowd, what were you feeling? How are you feeling at the end of that scene? Woo! Crowd's dropping a face
Faces
token.
all around.
JR, would you like to draw a candy bar out of the WWE commemorative
Sure.
cup?
Yeah, absolutely. All right. Whoa. I got a heel one.
All right, I am gonna draw. I'm gonna turn away. I'm gonna reach down. I'm gonna grab a Kit Kat. I drew a face.
Okay.
All right. So what's the moment in which you kind of turn on the match a little bit? What's the heelish thing that Dan pulls out here?
Who are we fighting again?
The
the Weekend Warriors.
The Weekend Warriors.
Yeah, the Weekend
That's,
Warriors. All right.
Freelance Freddy Uberlift and paid by the hour Wade Powers.
I think that I have to escalate my heel things,
Yep.
right? Like that's wrestling. So, after pulling someone off the apron in the last match, I think in this one I outright cheat.
Oh,
Right?
no.
I have
Yeah,
to.
you gotta.
I think that's the only way. I go big or go home, right? I think that there's an opportunity where maybe there's incidental contact with the referee, right? And the referee is down and out and he can't see it, and it's a crime of opportunity.
Yep.
And I pull the turnbuckle pad off and ram somebody's face into the turnbuckle or something like that. And that way they're out. When the referee comes back, I pull you over for the cover and you're the legal man and you win. Sound good?
Yeah. So that's the set. That's the semifinals, which puts us in the finals of the tournament, which means we are at the finals of the game. This is the last thing that we're going to do, which means it's I hate, but it means that we're here for the heel turn. So we come to the finals of the
Potential heel
tournament.
turn.
I'm looking at the number because here's how the game and here's how the end of the game works. We come to the finals of the tournament. We are facing the people that are going to become the tag team champions. And we, with all of this momentum that the crowd has seen us like cheat and hustle our way here, we've probably won them over. Like, we are still the underdogs, and we come up short.
Absolutely.
We lose.
Yep.
We don't pull off the win. So what we're going to do is we are each going to cut a brief promo about why the other one is a great talent, why we've stuck together, something that we admire. And then you're going to turn on me, and you're going to describe.
Oh, I have to?
Dan,
That's how
you
it
got
works?
You
Okay,
you have drawn more heel stones, which means that Dan, after this match, is going to turn on Ace, the King, Queen, Jack.
All right. Who goes first? Does it matter?
I'll cut a promo.
Okay.
Because I know exactly what I want to say, because I want to make it hurt real good. A lot of people talk about casual Dan Sexton. A lot of people say that he just doesn't have the fire. But I'll tell you something. You can't drive up and down every 2-bit venue, every bingo hall and armory in the armpits of this country without showing a lot of fire and determination. And when it comes down to it, Dan's going to do what it takes to win. Dan's got a champion in him. He's just got to bring it out. And the finals of this tournament, when we step into those rings and we stare down Champ and Crowbar, that's going to be we're going to come out big winners. And I'm telling you, you're going to see a different Dan Sexton out there than you've ever seen before. Cuz that man is a champion and he is a hero. And I believe in casual Dan Sexton.
That was a very good promo.
Thank you.
Yeah. Okay. I'm going to follow that up. So I'm sorry, just to be clear on the rules. So my promo is prior to our match
this
that
is
we
prior
lose.
to the
Okay.
finals about why you think we're going to win and what you admire about Ace the King Queen Jack.
So Ace the King Queen Jack. That is hard to say. Ace the King
You
Queen
also
Jack.
just go Ace Queen Jack.
Ace Queen Jack has been my partner since we broke into this business. And there have been low points for us. Most of our career has been low points, truthfully. But he has stuck by me through thick and thin. He's someone who has people in this business looking after him. And at any point, he could have gone off and done something different and left me in the dust. And he's stood by me. And all I've been doing in this tournament is trying to make up for lost time and trying to make sure that he can get the ending for his career that he needs.
Wow. Okay. So we lose. We
lose.
come up short.
We
Champ
come
and
up-
Crowbar are your inaugural tag team champions. What happens after? Tell me what happens after the match. You have drawn more heel tokens in this match, which means
There is a heel turn.
Oh wait, no. We're each supposed to draw. We're each supposed to put in. We're supposed to do one more round of stones. I'm putting in. I gotta put in a face stone. I feel like the promos that we cut, we believe in each other.
Sure, yeah. I mean, I think that that's true for me too, right? I'm gonna
Crowd, if you felt like we were friends, if you felt like our friendship holds true, I need you to cheer. If you feel like we're doomed to split up, I need you to boo right now. The crowd is cheering. We're dropping a face. All right.
All right.
JR, please draw your final stone.
That's heel. Oh, I think I turned heel.
You're turning heel.
Yeah.
Oh, I drew a face, which means you. So how do you turn heel? What does it look like?
So we lose, right?
Yeah, we lose.
We absolutely.
We just get out.
I don't think we get annihilated
It's a close.
necessarily.
We get a shine, but we get just
Yeah.
they don't get an opportunity. They're just better wrestlers.
Yeah, absolutely. There's no shame in losing to better people. But at the same time, like, I've lost to better people my whole career.
Mm-hmm.
And for whatever reason, this is the time. Sometimes you just snap,
Yeah.
right? And I think that you try afterwards to do that sort of mutual respect thing. Like, we went as far as we could. You want to do like a hug, and maybe we do it, and we try and get the cheers from the crowd, and they're finally cheering for us.
They finally invested it on us.
And that's what turns me, like, this is it, right? Like,
Ow,
we
that
did our
hurts.
whole thing, and the crowd now is into it. We've been doing this forever, so I take it out on you, however unfortunate that is.
I think it's absolutely just the running forearm to the back of the neck. I
Sure.
go down, trash is in the ring, and that's heel turn 3.
That's heel turn
And
3.
the
We did
crowd-
it.
The boos reign in, and that's game.
Yeah.
JR, thank you for playing this game with
Of
me.
course,
This
it was a pleasure.
An absolute delight. Where can people find you and your work online?
So, like I said, I'm on Twitter at Wrestling Bubble. I have a Patreon, which is most of my games and some wrestling essays, which is patreon.com/Cementville. And I'm on Itch as well, where most of my games get housed. I've got a couple of wrestling games up there if you want to play those. And I've got a bunch of other stuff. There's more stuff coming out this month, too.
Excellent.
So, yeah.
Well, thank you for coming on the show. This was a blast. If you can find a link to the Pro Wrestling Game Jam, where this game was created, as well as, I believe, 15 other games about professional wrestling, you can find a link to that in the show notes or at itch.io/PWGameslam2K19. Thank you so much to the Philly Podcast Festival. Thank you to Indie Hall, Tattooed Moms, the National Liberty Museum, World Cafe Live, New Media Touring, Fireball Printing. Everything is awesome. Thank you for running the audio. I appreciate it. OB Media Podcasting Services, Philly Banner Express, Tea House Screen Printing, Bridgeset Sound, and of course the Philadelphia Podcasting Society. You can find us at partyofonepodcast.com, on Twitter at partyofonepod. The show is produced and edited, as always, by Jeff Stormer and Jen Frank. The show could not happen without Jen and without my, shout out to Jen. The show couldn't happen without her. But, let's see, what else do I normally say at the end of episodes? There's another podcast you can listen to, All My Fantasy Children, is a character creation, storytelling, and world-building podcast powered by listener prompts. And that is it for me. Until next time, thank you so much for listening. Thank you, Philadelphia. Thank you, Tattooed Moms. That is a wrap. Also, if anybody wants Kit Kats, we have so many more Kit Kats. But know that they are very old.